Hi friends, as we are discussing neuro-linguistic programming, so this is the high time to discuss useful NLP techniques. We all know that there are various techniques to apply as per the situation or the context while applying neuro-linguistic programming. So what are those techniques? And what do we mean by useful NLP techniques? Because it is not like something that there is one technique and which is appropriate for a certain situation. There are a number of techniques which you can apply as per the situation and as per the context. So let us discuss these useful NLP techniques. So neuro-linguistic programming is all about the study of successful behaviors. So it is no surprise that there are a lot of patterns in NLP that are really good for working on a specific outcomes. Outcome is very important. Like the App Store, we have a number of apps in our mobile, and as per our need, we download the app. Similarly, like the App Store, there are hundreds of techniques for all kinds of results. And like the App Store, there are really a few dozen that make up 99% of the rest. So we apply these techniques just to improve the situation, whether it is applicable to one's own self or to other self. So got a fear you want to get rid of, there is a technique for that. Get anxious around your boss, there is a technique for overcoming that. Need to feel more confident for that big presentation, there is a technique for that. Need a bucket load of charisma, you can get that too. Want to have people listen to your every word, there is a technique for that too. And on we could go. So as I said that as we have apps in mobile, similarly there are n number of techniques for useful technique, applying when we are going to get a work done successfully. There are some important techniques which you can use as per the situation. Now choose the technique after you have figured out what result you are trying to achieve. This is very important. Now what is the destination that is there in your mind? You have to be very specific, clear about that, and select NLP technique as per your desired destination. So what this means is figure out first what the desired state is first before you decide what tools or techniques you will use to get it. Now people generally plunge into the various techniques without knowing the result, as in less awareness of what the real problem is and how it works. Now this is asking for failure. This indicates complete failure. Try to find out what the desired state is first, quantify and qualify it in behavioral terms before you select a suitable NLP technique, and there also you have to apply your common sense. Actually do the techniques, because we have a number of the techniques. So let us describe certain categories while selecting techniques for getting success in neuro-linguistic programming. As per neuro-linguistic programming, NLP is a precision technology, so to get the most from it, use it with precision. Now what is precision? That in a very selected, limited, specific way one needs to achieve success. Now for this specific and a very limited, we have to apply a good technique to get the work done. So follow the techniques fully and as cleanly as possible, meaning no adding in your own matter or going off piste. If you are working with someone else, make sure they actually follow along and do what you are saying. If you are using the technology on yourself, it will be helpful to have someone trained guide you through the process so you can focus fully on experiencing it. Now, the next category is intervention is everything. Some techniques work very well for some things but will suck at others. That is, stuff they are not designed to work for. We are discussing the categories under which we should select technology under NLP program. So, intervening at the right place with the right tool will make all the difference. Intervene where their target is soft, where you can get a lever and the force of that lever being moved generates the change. This is not always easy. You may need to dig around a bit, but generating the change will be much easier if you can find a lever which carries the desired state forward and causes the client to reorganize their own experience of themselves and who they are. Now, you will need to combine multiple tools and techniques. As I said, that it is like App Store. Now, you should not be very selective in the sense that suppose you select one technique to get success in the work and that failed, you could not get success, then you need to apply the another tool. So, you have to ready with other resources, and here there comes the very aspect of flexibility. Any work, rigidity, the attitude of rigid, it is not going to help you. So, there should be always a space to select other technique as well. So, NLP techniques can be used in many situations, and if we talk about NLP technique, well, mirroring is very useful when you want to put someone at ease so that you can influence them. The main NLP techniques, the meta model, this was the first NLP model. Basically, it means that to effectively deal with a challenge you are facing, ask yourself, how do I manage to do that? That is the meta model. Yourself you are struggling and you apply the technique to get out of it. The second one is dissociation, identifying the main emotions which are stressing you out, then looking as an observer from outside at the whole situation playing itself out and playing it backwards repeatedly until you get what and why was something bugging you. Now, going through it backwards continuously brings catharsis, that is change. Dissociation is very helpful in dealing with your hesitation in certain areas. Content reframing. Basically, this means looking at a possibly bad situation as an opportunity. Fired from job, no hassle. It was a dead-end job anyway. I will learn and do some side project and get back in the game in time. That is content reframing. Self-anchoring, being able to instantly change how you feel. A rough example is of a person who knows biting tongue or pinching oneself heard enough helps in beating the lie detector, as the mind is busy thinking about other things than listening to the question being asked. Next, changing your mind at will by pegging your behavior to a desired memory or a situation from the past. A rough example, that is smiling during a tough time because you have anchored to your thoughts to a happy time in your life. For example, when your child was born. Rapport, finding a common ground with other people. It often starts with something as simple as mirroring the other person's action, then agreeing to the person's interest, etc. And of course, listening intently to whatever the person has to say, repeating last words, nodding, making constant eye contact, nodding. Now, belief change, to be more accurate, change from limiting belief. Neuro-linguistic programming says there are 3 kinds of limiting beliefs holding us down. The first is belief about cause, that is faulty logic. Belief about meaning, that is, this is how the world works. And the third is beliefs about identity. I am not built for this. So, belief and value and ethic, very important aspect of neuro-linguistic programming, and when we use of the useful technique, then rapport and belief change, very important. So, belief change covers belief about cause, belief about meaning, and belief about identity. To change your limiting beliefs, get facts, positive facts about the situation and compare them with the existing negative thoughts, or find a totally opposite belief than your existing limiting belief and leave the new belief for 5 minutes. It is like meditation. Neuro-linguistic programming says doing this for 30 days straight will help change our mindset. Now, NLP techniques which help while dealing with anxiety, because neuro-linguistic programming is meant for this, to control your nervous system, and anxiety is also the part of that nervous system. Now, Swiss technique, similar to the anchoring technique, where you changed the scenery in your mind, like we swipe through images on our smartphones. I don't want that feeling. I want this feeling, and look at the image in your mind that makes you feel better. Both anchoring and Swiss techniques are used by public speakers to deal with the anxiety. Getting in a favorable state of mind when going in to give the speech presentation. Now, the Swiss pattern is one of the most powerful NLP techniques for making changes in your behavior or feelings. It is a very simple method of taking an old unwanted behavior and substituting with a new empowering behavior. The Swiss pattern is particularly useful in situations where you repeatedly find yourself underperforming, even though you feel sure that you could do much better if only nervousness would not get in the way. It is also common for people who prevaricate about a starting task to suddenly find that they throw themselves into those same tasks with energy, ideas, and enthusiasm. Now, NLP techniques that can be helpful to improve your performance. Seeing it before you do it. This technique is favorite with sports persons and successful people, where they imagine they have succeeded, won the game, the imagination hypothetically, and then work it backwards, thinking of all the right things they must have done to get at success and listing those things. Now, marketers use this technique to bring their prospects into a frame of mind where they can see the consequences of not using a solution, like when you are offering. Now, start before you start and finish before you finish. People use this NLP technique to finish their tasks or projects. When you have had enough to work working problem, enough of working problem at your work, get up and say, well, that's it for today. I have had enough for the day. And then you get up and then get back to the work saying one more thing. And this is how great works were done. One more thing. So this is just, you have to create your mind setup that it is enough, but again adding more. So that is why it is start before you start and finish before you finish. The Milton model, it is a short or verbal hypnosis made famous by Milton Erickson, who spoke even normal sentences, the sun is very bright and hot today, in a very vague manner. That is the difficult manner. The big neighborhood star is especially hyperactive today, causing people to look at the problem in new ways. Being artfully vague means very artistically difficult. It is like reframing the problem in many ways. NLP techniques to study better, which can help you to study better. Motivation model, and under this caption we can discuss motivation model. Get into a frame of mind where we see the consequences of not studying hard, and then use these consequences to drive us to sit down and go through the material. Now coming to the mirroring, because it is one of the part of rapport and very important NLP technique. It is quite simply creating a mirror image, as the term is, mirror image of their body language, of your body language. For instance, if they cross their arms, means your client or the other person, you cross your arms, but make sure that you create a mirror image. If they cross their right arm over their left arm, and then you need to cross your left arm over your right arm to create a mirror image. The effect of mirroring is that the other person subconsciously notices that you are behaving in the same way that they are behaving. Now this leads them to believe that you must like and respect them. So they relax, they feel comfortable with you. Now the other is modeling. Modeling was the first technique of NLP developed by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. The basic idea is to locate another person who possesses a skill that you would like to have, and then ask, how do they do that? By breaking down the elements of what they do, you are then in a position to be able to replicate those skills in your behavior. Bandler and Grinder started by studying the work of leading leaders such as Virginia Satir and Milton Erickson. They were looking for the behavioral differences between these great healers and others who were less successful. Through these studies, they become aware of the power of the unconscious mind and how it affects your everyday behavior. They learned that the unconscious mind can be reprogrammed so that our behavior can be changed. Now in organizations, modeling can be used to discover what top performers do that is different from their colleagues and to transfer those skills to everyone else. When you do this successfully, you can raise the overall level of performance. So the ability of top performers is usually the result of their unique blend of feelings, thoughts, beliefs, values and self-image. It therefore essential to identify the thinking, strategies and other intangibles that make top managers outstanding. Anchoring is also one of the important NLP techniques. So of all the NLP techniques, anchoring is probably the most simple and in many ways the most useful technique. Anchoring is simply creating and a aid memoir for a new state which you have created for yourself. An anchor can be any physical act that you choose. It could be as simple as crossing your fingers, or it could be digging the nails of your right fingers into the palm of your right hand, or it could be consciously sewing your teeth to all around you. The procedure for creating an anchor is very simple. First, get yourself to feel the state you want to feel. Then anchor that state. Then next time you want to feel that way again, simply fire your anchor. Then collapsing anchors. So there are actually several patterns that fall under the category of anchoring, and all are worth learning. However, for sheer fun and useful learning, how to collapse an anchor is one of those patterns I've used over and over again with my friends, my students, and with myself also. So collapsing an anchor is where you being together two states, typically a state response that a person finds limiting, like fear when around your boss, and introduce a powerful resource states, belly busting laughter at the exact moment they begin to experience the problem emotion. By having the body experience the two at the same time, it forces the person's neurology to reorganize itself to a neutral or positive state. So, in this case, the laughter washes over the fear and the person just laughs at their old self being scared of the boss. Then there is self-anchoring. There are several that could have made the top spot, including as the act as if, pattern, change personal history, or new behavior generator. Now each would be good contenders that can have major generative change on your life. However, intentional self-anchoring clinched the top spot because its results are so immediate. It takes very little effort to set up, and your ability to anchor yourself or trigger an anchor is always available. Now, very important question, why do I say intentional? Because you are already anchoring yourself all the time. If remember to turn off the light at night when you walk out of a room, you have created an anchor for yourself. When you self-anchor, you create a reminder in your nervous system that says, when I do this, do that. It allows you to evoke a desired resource, a state on cue, to teach your brain to chunk this signal and that response. So, some technique which is very important for useful neuro-linguistic technique: interrupt your own state or others with ease, spin your feelings to amplify or create rapid change, collapse anchors at will and play with sub-modalities to install new beliefs or explode old ones. When you travel along timelines like you are a kid on a flying rug dropping in resources, and learn to hear your own or other people's thought processes so you can reshape them, and get your brain to quickly do this positive thing instead of that helpful one, when you can reframe in your sleep or anchor yourself to get up and stay up, especially when life knocks you down. Now, metaphor, which is also one of the NLP technique, it is a natural human behavior to tell stories, and in neuro-linguistic programming we call such stories metaphors. They are one of the most useful NLP techniques because they are so natural and so common in society, because storytelling is a very common casual activity and comfortable too, and give relaxation to other. Now one can describe one situation by metaphor, that is to say by citing stories. For instance, you might say, "This is the happiest day, I am having a joyful time." Or you might hear someone say, "I am having a really tough day, nothing seems to be going according to plan." Now in both the stories we get a clear idea of the mood of the individual, and we also learn a lot about their general outlook on life, and that is the power of the metaphor. Power of metaphor means how would you express the story, your situation. It tells us much more than the simple information that the words supply. The stories also tell us much about the individual's outlook on life. They tell us something about their behavior pattern. That is, the second story tells, the second story, that today's very tough life, tells us that the speaker likes to make plans and work to make them come to fruition. Because the second story is that I am having a really tough day, nothing seems to be going according to plan. So making new plan again in a new way to achieve something. Now state interrupt is also one of the technology that helps a neuro-linguistic program to achieve target. You are a human, so am I. We interact with other humans, which invariably means there will be drama, emotions, and sometimes upsets. So the state interrupt pattern gives us a powerful tool to stop runaway states, means facing the situation, break up conflict, de-escalate tension. Submodality change pattern. Few patterns give you as much bang for your buck as the submodality change pattern. This wonder pattern can be used to blow things up in your mind or shrink away your fears. It is a Swiss Army knife pattern when you understand how it works. So the submodality pattern is used in countless other patterns because it is so darn good and key to reorganizing how a person experiences their reality. Applications include changing beliefs, installing confidence, breaking apart negative self-image, reducing stress, getting over loss, building motivation, etc. Now threshold pattern, our mind body gets caught on a loop, and sometimes the same pattern of behavior, thought, emotion or action occurs over and over again, and it seems to be beyond our control. So the threshold pattern, also known as the compulsion blowout, is your tool of choice for getting the person's mind body utterly fed up with doing the same old thing that is wearing them out slowly or that is not serving them. Timelines. Over the years, timelines has grown into a whole class of sub-patterns that are very effective in helping us to create change and to enhance a person's life. Timelines give you a powerful way to let go of emotional pain without the drama, transform old stories and install new ways of feeling a bright future, long after the changes work has ended. By having a person access their felt sense of time and hallucinating a timeline, we can help them interact with memories of events, access old resources, seed changes back in their past, and generalize those changes all the ways through the present and beyond for transformative change. Mind reading pattern, the mind reading pattern is one of those patterns. We are discussing NLP technique, useful technique, and mind reading pattern is one of those that can transform a situation. Now, years ago, I realized that a huge difference between those who can solve problems quickly and those who don't was often down to the quality of their thinking. If you have framed the problem incorrectly, or you don't even realize you have accepted someone else's frame on an issue, that is wrong. You are going to try to come up with solutions for a problem that does not exist, or even if implemented, won't fix the real problem. The mind reading pattern asks a simple but powerful question: how do you know? Or a variation of it. So this question causes the person to recover how they know something to be true. It informs you about what is on a person's map. That map could be your own thinking, a friend, your colleagues, your doctors, and several other. So the mind reading pattern asks a simple but powerful question: how do you know? This question causes the person to recover how they know something to be true. By focusing on this one linguistic pattern, you begin to join them in their model of the world and can use this one pattern as a powerful technique for change and transformation. Now, reframing pattern, which means that the process of changing the frame of reference someone uses to order to change the meaning. Framing can happen at a both verbal and non-verbal level. We can reframe the content or the context for near infinite combination. Spinning filling. Now, this is a very comfortable pattern and does not require a PhD in neuro-linguistic programming or any great expertise to use effectively. For a long time, people have talked about their feelings in versal sense. I feel dread in the pit of my stomach. I'm so excited I could wet myself, or I'm so much in love I feel like I'm floating on the cloud nine. Now, the spinning filling pattern recognizes that feelings don't just stop and go dormant. They must move. So, when someone says they are frustrated, angry, overjoyed, things that sound like an event, what is actually happening is the person often outside their awareness is doing the activity of generating frustration, angry, joy, which is then felt in the body. So, dear student, this is all about important NLP techniques, and I suppose and I am sure that thinking over this, because NLP is a cognitive behavior, neuro-linguistic pattern or programming, neuro-linguistic programming is a cognitive behavior, a psychological behavior that aims towards to make out the best of a person. So, how to make your behavior and your activity in a fruitful manner, it all depends on your technique. So, we have discussed all the important techniques. You have a number of list of all these NLP techniques which you can apply as per the context and the desired. This is advisable that suppose a particular technique gets failed while doing a particular task, it does not mean that you cannot take help of the other technique. What is needed or required? Your common sense, applying the brain. So, when you feel that a particular situation requires this particular technique and applying that, I am sure that you would be able to achieve the best out of your desired goal while applying these neuro-linguistic programming techniques. For today, it is over. Thank you very much.